Hello guys and welcome to Odds Premier League. We have the 21st match day already with us after the shocking defeat of Man United against Sheffield United. So the title race is still on and we are going to analyze every single game with Tom Williams, but I also want to know your opinion, so let me know what you think in the comment section and you will have the chance to win a £10 free bet with Novibet. Besides, do not forget to click on the like button if you enjoy the video, subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get all the notifications. And now let's go on with the show. So let's analyze this 21st match day in the Premier League with the title race. The two teams of Manchester, Liverpool, who won at White Hart Lane. Everything with Tom Williams. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Eduardo.
And what a shocking defeat we saw in the middle of the week by Man United. Let's see what we have in this week. And we're going to start on Saturday. We have in Goodison Park, Everton, Newcastle. We saw in the middle of the week how good is James Rodriguez when he's playing at Goodison Park. What a goal he scored for Everton, but the team couldn't beat Leicester 1-1. And in the last 7 games, the Toffees are actually in a good run. 5 victories, 1 draw and 1 loss. And I guess they should beat Newcastle. They are in terrible form. We predicted actually well that they were going to lose against Leeds, and they did lose. Now 6 straight defeats for the North England team, 11 winless games, and Goodison Park, it does not look like the perfect stadium to bounce back actually.
No, it doesn't. I'm backing Everton to win to 0 here at odds 2.55 or thereabouts on Oddspedia at the moment. And yeah, two teams in very contrasting form. Everton have lost only 1 of their last 8 in the league. Newcastle 9 games without a win. And as you said, James Rodriguez is back in the team, back in form, curling in goals with his right foot even. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is back to full fitness. So Everton look like they're going places and gave a decent account of themselves against Leicester, albeit with yet another Jordan Pickford blunder ultimately costing them. From a Newcastle perspective, their current form is worrying. There was an improvement in the second half against Leeds, and for the first time in a little while you looked at Newcastle and thought there is something there. So perhaps that's the beginning of some kind of resistance. But yeah, on current form, I can only see Everton winning this, and I think they'll come through it quite comfortably.
Yeah, Newcastle, they are now 6 points above relegation, and Fulham have 1 game in hand, so be careful with Newcastle. Another 2 teams that are not in form are Crystal Palace Wolves, and they meet in Selhurst Park. Wolves, at least they got a point against Chelsea in Tuchel's debut, but they are bad. They lost their last home game against West Brom. They also lost to Everton, whereas Crystal Palace weren't able to get any point against West Ham. Before also they lost against Man City. So here 2 teams that are not informed, Tom, and the odds suggest us that we are going to see a draw.
Yeah, and I can understand why the odds are pointing in that direction. I mean, Wolves' form really concerning. 7 league games without a win, and they've slid down to 13th place in the table. So all hopes of a European finish starting to ebb away. Palace are a difficult team to predict. We've seen some good things from them in recent weeks. We've also seen them take heavy defeats and concede lots of goals. We know that they have firepower, though, with Wilfried Zaha. We saw that again in the game against West Ham. Firepower, one thing that Wolves really don't have at the moment in the ongoing absence of Raul Jimenez. Obviously brought in William Jose as well, the latest attempt to try and plug that gap up front. I can see this being quite a close game, and I find it hard to call given that both teams are in such poor form. So one potential bet that caught my eye was both teams to score. You can get odds of 2.10 on that, and I think given that both of them are sort of scratching around for form a little bit, but possess dangerous attacking players, I can see it being a game where both teams get on target.
I wouldn't put a lot of hopes in William Jose. He's been very good for Real Sociedad in previous seasons. but not this season. Let's see how he does in the Premier League. On Saturday, we also have Man City, Sheffield United. The question is going to be Man City as well shocked by Sheffield United? I think no one could expect their victory against the Red Devils. Sheffield shocked us, getting their second victory of the season at Old Trafford, and now they travel again to Manchester, to the Etihad Stadium, but probably is way more difficult to beat the Citizens. They look really, really strong in this stage of the season. They thrashed West Brom 0-5 before they beat Aston Villa 2-0, and the thing, Tom, is that it's not just that they are winning, is that they've only conceded one goal in their last 7 victories in the Premier League. They are very, very solid.
Yeah, and consequently, there are loads of ways into this from a betting perspective. You know, a City win, a City clean sheet, City scoring in both halves, winning both halves. You know, I think everyone expects them to win this quite comfortably. But that victory for Sheffield United away at Manchester United really does change things from their perspective. I think heading into these 2 fixtures, if you'd offered Chris Wilder's men 2 points from these 2 trips to Manchester, they'd have snapped your hand off. They're already on 3 points. No one saw them winning at Old Trafford yet. That's what they did. Deserved victors. And so this game is a bit of a free hit for them. And I think the fact that they've managed to go to Old Trafford and win will give them a huge amount of confidence. City are a different beast. They're a much more cohesive team than Manchester United, a much more impressive team, although they are once again without Kevin De Bruyne, who is going to be sidelined for a little while longer with his hamstring injury. So I just wonder whether that result at Old Trafford will give Sheffield United a bit more energy, a bit more motivation going into this game. So, you know, I'm not backing to pull off a shock win for the second time, this week. But maybe they can keep the score down. Maybe they could keep it interesting. You can get odds currently on Oddspedia of around 2.15 on there being under 3 goals in this game. Not necessarily expecting Sheffield United to score, but I think they could frustrate City. So maybe maybe they'll take some of that spirit from Old Trafford into this game and at least keep it interesting.
No pressure for Sheffield United in this trip. Man City really favorites. Odds are 1.17 for them to win. So if we want to find good odds for a City victory, I have to go for Asian handicap minus 2.5 with odds 2.21. So that means that we win our bet only if Man City wins for 3 goals difference. So for sure, they are really favorite against the bottom team of the table. No pressure for Sheffield United in this game, but for sure there is a lot of pressure for the next 2 teams, West Brom, Fulham, the other 2 teams that are in relegation zone. And here the victory is a must, I would say, for both sides. West Brom, since Allardyce's arrival, only 1 victory against Wolverhampton, and they've been thrashed several times actually. And we expected Allardyce to put some defense, being a little bit more solid, but the West Brom is not doing that. And Fulham, we always say that they are a correct team, but they are not winning. They drew again against Brighton, 7 draws already this season, and point by point, they are not going to find salvation, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think both managers will be looking at this game and thinking, right, this is where we begin our campaign to avoid relegation. This is where we pick up the 3 points that are going to get us up and running for the second half of the season. But yeah, 2 teams in very poor form. As you said, the big expectation with Sam Allardyce going to West Brom was that he would make them more difficult to beat. In the 4 games that they've played since he came in, the 4 home games they've played since he came in the league, they've conceded 17 goals. So it's almost the complete opposite of what you'd expect from Sam Allardyce taking over a team. Fulham, in contrast, clean sheets haven't been too much of a problem. It's scoring goals that they're struggling with. Only 4 goals in their last 9 league games. Lots of draws in that run, but they've now gone 9 league games without a win. So yeah, 2 teams desperate for points and with issues at opposite ends of the pitch. I find it hard to call this one, given that they're both so short of form. So yeah, I mean, perhaps a draw. Odds are 3.28 on Oddspedia currently, and I think given both of these teams are struggling and given this is so important, I think it will be a close one.
Fulham are favorites. They've been a little bit better recently, but still they don't win, so they are in the bottom three. The games of this match day is on Saturday at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal Man United. Remember that in the reverse fixture, the Gunners won at Old Trafford, and now the feelings are completely opposite. Like, we can talk about these two teams 1 month ago, for instance. Arsenal got a very good victory at St Mary's against Southampton 1-3 after their defeat at the FA Cup against the very same team, and in the last 6 games in the Premier League, 5 victories and 1 draw. So they are in a really good form, and again, they beat a good team like Southampton because their calendar was quite easy, and now is the big test, Tom, of maturity, I would say, for Man United after that heavy loss against, the defeat, shocking loss against Sheffield United. It's a matter of knowing if the team can bounce back, get up, and still fight for the title.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as it was a surprise to see United lose at home to Sheffield United, bottom of the table, there was already a bit of a disconnect between United's performances and their results. You know, they've been constantly falling behind, having to come from behind, and we've not seen too many vintage performances. So I think this result against Sheffield United was a bit of a reality check that had been a long time coming. And when you look at Arsenal's form, I think there are United fans who will be feeling quite anxious about this trip to the Emirates Stadium. 5 wins out of 6 in the league, and the question we've been asking is how sustainable this form is. I think I mentioned last time out, you look at the teams that Arsenal have beaten recently, most of them are teams that you'd expect them to be, either teams who are going through a difficult period such as Chelsea, or teams like West Brom, Newcastle, Brighton, who a team like Arsenal should always be able to defeat. But I think that win at Southampton was a sign that they're capable of doing it against the better teams in the division. This game against United will be another test of that. United have lost 2-0 on their last 2 trips to Arsenal, so don't have a great record there. Again, this feels like a test of both teams, a test of Arsenal's ability to produce the sort of football they've been playing in recent weeks against one of the title contenders, and a test of United's ability to bounce back from the first big setback they've had in recent weeks. This feels to me like one of those 1-1 draw games, so I am going to back that. Odds are 7.5 on Oddspedia on that outcome, and I think given how much that defeat against Sheffield United would have hurt Manchester United, I suspect a draw here wouldn't be the biggest disappointment in the world for their supporters.
Yeah, we have to remember that Man United have not lost a single game outside Old Trafford yet in this Premier League. So if we have tempted to back Arsenal, for instance, we have Arsenal Asian Handicap 0 with odds 2.15. If we think Arsenal is going to win, we win this 2.15. But if they draw, we get our money back. But again, be careful. The Red Devils are better on the road than at home. But it's going to be a big test for them. The last game we have on Saturday is Southampton, Aston Villa, 2 of the teams that are doing better, I would say, in this Premier League for the middle table teams, at least. They are right now actually in the middle of the table, both of them, and both lost in midweek games. Southampton against Arsenal, we just said it, and they are in a negative patch of form. They lost also against Leicester City, and Aston Villa, they lost against Burnley, even if they took the lead twice.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of the better teams in the division, but both of whom are struggling for form currently. Only 1 win in 7 for Southampton, and only 1 win in 5 for Villa. I think Villa's defeat at Burnley will have left a particularly sour taste because they were so good in the first half. They could quite easily have been 2 or 3 goals up at half-time. As it was, they didn't capitalise on that early dominance and end up getting pegged back and losing. And you look at their more recent defeats. They lost away at Manchester United. They lost away at Manchester City. They dropped a couple of points away at Chelsea. I don't think that would have disappointed them too much. But to lose in that manner against Burnley, particularly having played that well, will have annoyed them a lot, I think. Southampton, yeah, I mean, a difficult team to predict. Fairly comfortably beaten by Arsenal and Leicester in their last two outings, but then prior to that, beat Liverpool, which shows what a threat they can pose. My instinct here is to back Villa. They have an excellent away record. They concede very few goals on the road, and they'll be doubly determined to atone for that disappointment away at Burnley. So maybe Villa, agent handicap 0, so money back if they draw and a payout if they win. Odds are 1.91 on that currently. So not superb odds, but I think in this well-balanced game, I'd be more inclined to back Villa than Southampton.
Yeah, fair odds. You mentioned how Burnley was able to beat Aston Villa, and the thing is that Burnley, they are now 9 points above relegation. They are doing really well at this stage of the season, and now they travel to Stamford Bridge to meet Chelsea. Tuchel couldn't win in his first game in charge, the Blues against Wolves. Goalless draw, and now Chelsea are really urged to win a game. They are 8th in the standings, really far away from the top 4 goal. At least we thought they might be actually title contenders. So I think this is a must win for Chelsea for sure. But Burnley, we see them also winning at Anfield. So be careful with this team.
Yeah, Burnley have done really well. As you say, winning at Anfield, their result of the season so far, and then following that up by, weathering the early storm against Aston Villa last time out at Turf Moor and picking up the 3 points there. And generally speaking, have looked much more like their old selves in the last few weeks. So, very little for them to lose here. They know the pressure is on Chelsea. There's a pressure for, to get results, to get themselves back into that top 4 picture. And of course, a new manager, Thomas Tuchel, who's desperate to get his first win on the board. We saw in Tuchel's first game at home to Wolves, that Chelsea had an awful lot of the ball, didn't do very much with it. And Wolves had opportunities, Pedro Neto with that chance towards the end that he chipped onto the top of the crossbar. I expect Burnley will go about this game in a similar way to the way that Wolves did. I think they'll be compact, and I think they'll look to hit Chelsea on the break. They know the onus is on Chelsea to attack here and try and dominate the game. And I think because Chelsea are adapting to a new manager and have players who are short of form, they may again find it a struggle. We know what a good defensive unit Burnley are generally. That the 2 goals they're letting against Villa, a bit of an aberration. You look at their recent defensive form. So maybe looking at the goals markets, you can get odds of 3.50 on Oddspedia currently on there being under 2 goals. And so if you reckon Burnley can frustrate Chelsea in the way that Wolves did, and I think they might be able to do that, then that might be a bet worth looking at.
Okay, boring game in Stamford Bridge. Hopefully not the next one at the King Power Stadium. Leicester City Leeds. We said how Chelsea, of course, is ruled out of the title fight, but not Leicester City. Still 3rd in the standings, even if they drew against Everton with that goal scored by Tielemans. They were coming actually from 3 straight victories, so they are in a good form. Even at home, they are finally winning. Whereas Leeds United, they are very far away from the danger zone. They beat Newcastle after 3 consecutive defeats. So here I actually like the odds for the Foxes. I think 1.94 are quite appealing odds.
Yes, I'd be minded to back a Leicester win here. As you said, their recent performance has been very good, unbeaten in 7 in the league. They won 4-1 at Leeds in November in the reverse fixture, which suggests that, perhaps they've got Leeds' number. And Leeds are a very dangerous team, a very unpredictable team. You never really know what to expect from Leeds from week to week, although I thought they looked decent in that victory at Newcastle last time out. Leicester still adapting to life without Jamie Vardy. I think this will be only the 2nd game that they play since he was ruled out with a hip problem, and long term I wonder whether that might cause them problems. So that's perhaps something to bear in mind when looking at whether or not to bet on Leicester in the coming weeks. But yeah, I think I'll be minded to back Leicester here given that recent form.
Yeah, we saw even weaker teams winning at the King Power Stadium, like Fulham. But, I also expect Leicester City to grab the 3 points here. Very good game we have in the London Stadium on Sunday. West Ham, Liverpool. West Ham, they are in a terrific form. 5th right now in the standings. They beat Crystal Palace with Soucek scoring a brace. So adding to Antonio's good form, 6 straight victories in all competitions for the Hammers, 8 games undefeated, so is one of the best teams right now in the Premier League. And finally, Tom, we saw Liverpool winning, ending up this really bad run. They beat the Spurs 1-3, and they finally found the net. Also, Mohamed Salah, who was doing a good season, but he was in a draft time. Here the odds are low actually for Liverpool, but this is a tricky trip also for clubsmen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that victory at Spurs would have done Liverpool so much good, because the longer that run of poor form went on, the more you started to wonder, whether some kind of terminal decline had set in. But it looked much more like the old Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold putting in dangerous crosses, getting on the score sheet, Sadio Mane getting a goal, Roberto Firmino getting a goal. No goals for Mo Salah, but he did find the net, albeit with a strike that was ruled out after a VAR review. So Liverpool looking much more like their old selves. West Ham, difficult opponents currently. Like you said, 6 league games unbeaten, up there towards the top of the table, and not much pressure on them here. I'd still back Liverpool to come through and win this. I think it'll be quite a close game. Looking at potential scorelines, you can get odds of 9 on Liverpool winning 2-1. And I reckon that's the sort of game we're looking at, that, West Ham will give them a scrap, might manage to land a few punches, but that Liverpool will come through in the end.
Okay, Liverpool is still winning in the east of London. The last game we have is Brighton-Tottenham. Again, Tottenham, they are not in good form. 2 victories in the last 8 Premier League games after that defeat on Thursday evening against Liverpool, but they are only 4 points away from the Champions League position, so still the goal is reachable. Whereas Brighton, they are the first team in the salvation zone, still looking back with Fulham, who are the team chasing them, and they were able at least to get a point against Fulham. The odds actually for the Spurs victory are not that bad, 2.2.
Yeah, I mean, Spurs would be favourites here, but it looks like they're going to be without Harry Kane for this game and for a few more. And I don't think there is a player who is more important to his team in the division than Harry Kane is to Tottenham. You take Harry Kane out of the equation and Tottenham just become a completely different team. We saw that in the game against Liverpool. Yes, they've still got Son Heung-min, but he's so dependent on his partnership with Kane when it comes to chances being created for him and his runs being picked out. So I think that long term, sadly for Spurs, Kane's absence will cost them. Brighton's recent form has been improved. Only 1 defeat in the last 4. Drew at home to Wolves, 1 away at Leeds, and then another pretty forgettable 0-0 draw against Fulham last time out. I still have Spurs as favourites here, but I can see them finding it difficult to score goals in the absence of Kane. You can get odds of 2.8 or thereabouts on there being 2 goals or fewer. And I think, although Spurs might end up winning this, with Kane not there, I think goals will prove hard to come by.
Okay, another boring game then, in your opinion, in this last game of the weekend. Then we have all 10 games analyzed. Tom, let's do an ACCA then.
Okay, so my ACCA selection for this week, for this weekend, is Everton, Manchester City, Leicester, and Tottenham.
All right, the odds for that is 7.21. Then €1, and you can win 7.21. Then thanks, Tom. We have more Premier League next week in the middle of the week again. Thank you.
Cool. See you then.
Tom thinks Tottenham is gonna bounce back against Brighton. Well, but I also want to know your opinion, so let me know what you think in the comment section, and you will have the chance to win a £10 free bet with Novibet. Just write a comment to participate in the draw. And do not forget to click on the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell to get all the notifications. Remember, you can listen also to all our videos in our podcast. And next week, we will be back with more odds on Premier League.